As in many other states around the country, people in Massachusetts are debating how far to go with immigration enforcement. Much of that debate concerns the role of local and state police in activating enforcement by the federal government. For immigrants without legal status, the question can be a matter of life and death. That especially goes for victims of domestic violence. One state representative who favors strict enforcement recently said those victims should be afraid to report a crime to authorities. And that's the reason for a recent clarification by the Boston Police and Boston Area Rape Crisis Center. We'd like to welcome as our guest a clinician from the center, Vanessa Sebald. Thank you very much for being with us, Vanessa.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
First of all, that question is, what if I'm an immigrant and I don't have legal status and something bad's happening with me? Should I call the police, or should I be afraid that's going to get me deported?
Well, we don't want immigrants to be afraid to call the police if they're a victim of a crime. We want them to know that the police isn't interested in their immigration status. Neither is BARC or any service that's going to provide services to them. So they should feel free to call the police and report and not fear a consequence.
And I certainly can't think of any case in Massachusetts, at least, where someone who was a victim of a crime calls 911 and ended up being deported because of that.
Right. I mean, the main concern for the BPD is that they want to catch the criminals that are actually committing these horrible crimes, and they don't want to, the victim is not going to be put to blame.
What should people do if they're victimized? Because sometimes they're still going to be afraid of calling the police anyhow, and sometimes maybe even if they have legal status. Are there ways that they can get help without maybe running as much risk?
Right. So what we want to let survivors know is that we do have a 24-hour hotline that they can call at any point, and then that will connect them to all our different kinds of services. Mainly, we have medical advocacy that can meet them at the hospital within 5 days if they choose to get what we call a rape kit or an evidence collection kit, or they can seek counseling through the hotline, or we can get them hooked up with a legal advocate that can tell them all their different options and help them to figure out if reporting to the police is going to be right for them or not.
When you're talking about survivors, people who've been victimized, maybe sometimes people are motivated by wanting the bad guy to be punished, but other than that, they need healing. So explain why that's so important for them to do something about this.
Well, it's very important that people don't feel that they have to hold the secret, right? That there are people out there that are willing to hear what happened to them and are willing to help them figure out how they want to move on with their lives, right? And whether or not that involves reporting or not is up to them. And we basically help them understand all their different options and help them through counseling to better deal with things that may be feelings such as intrusive memories or anxiety or fear or even shame about what happened, to help them, you know, reach a better decision for themselves about how they want to move forward.
Talk about the kind of dilemmas facing people who are in a relationship, whether it's marriage or not, and they're being abused verbally and maybe physically as well, and they're worried, well, my gosh, what am I going to do? I'm going to be on my own. What can they do?
Right, so we offer, first of all, legal advocacy to let them know what kind of options are out there for them in terms of their safety, and also we help them understand what their options are in terms of lodging and get them hooked up with other sorts of resources that they may need to help them make that decision. And so we also talk to them about, like, what, you know, is it the best thing for you at this time? Because it's very difficult for people to think about leaving someone that they love, even if that person is abusing them. So we help them through that difficult process.
A lot of these survivors also have children, so things have to be squared away with the children, right? Right.
Well, if the children are in danger, of course, then we have to report to the Department of Children and Families if they're under the age of 16. And if not, I mean, definitely that can involve some legal advocacy as well in terms of going to court and figuring that out as well.
What about immigrants who are victimized through human trafficking, especially this is human trafficking that involves the sex trade, can they get some help from your organization?
Right. So because we understand that a lot of human trafficking involves a lot of sexual assault, of course our 24-hour hotline is a way that maybe they can call and seek support, and if they are able to and if they are safe to, they can come in and seek counseling or meet with a legal advocate to find out more about their options.
And I know that this might vary from one community to another, but certainly here in Suffolk County, to some degree, the DA is more or less trying to treat people like this not as criminals, but basically as crime victims. Mm-hmm. By the way, if people do want to get in touch, what's the best number to use for the hotline? So
the best number for our hotline is 1-800-841-8371. And I'll repeat that again, it's 1-800-841-8371. It's available 24 hours a day. So someone that's having trouble sleeping because they've just had a nightmare about their assault can call at 3 in the morning if they want to and get the support that they need.
By the way, any sense what's going on with the community, the immigrant community especially, because it's only in the last few years that there has been this intense kind of up on the surface debate, and a lot of people sometimes very stridently say, hey, you know, you got to crack down, get them all out of here. So, I mean, this must be having an effect on people.
Well, there's already so much fear within the immigrant community, and they've already are a very vulnerable population because they don't know their rights in this country. And so unfortunately, a lot of perpetrators will prey on immigrants because they don't know their rights or because of their fear of deportation, and they're not going to report to the police. So we really want to help those immigrants understand that they do have rights and they are able to report to the police so that the perpetrators are less able to see them as victims.
By the way, what's the advantage of reporting to the police?
So the advantage of reporting to the police is that sometimes it just means a peace of mind that you did everything that you could to make sure that this person doesn't perpetrate again. You know, sometimes it just is an essence of just being heard and being believed.
By the way, we should mention one more time the hotline number.
So again, the hotline number is 1-800-841-8371.
Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Vanessa Sebald from the Boston Area Rape Crisis Center. We'll have more news in just a moment.